Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Oh, am I loud? I'm
No,
loud.
you're good.
I'm loud anyway.
You're good, man.
Good. Are we going?
Glad you're here to listen to me bomb again,
Bomb?
like last week.
What do you mean? I don't get it. I don't get
I
what.
just felt like I wasn't given enough.
Hey, but speaking of that,
Yeah.
I think what's been so cool about this is getting to listen to your conversation after you do it. That's a very
Yeah,
unique.
because you hear it way different.
It's a very unique experience.
Yeah.
I've never done that before. I've never had a 2-hour conversation and then listened to myself having a 2-hour conversation. It's very new,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
it is cool because you really
Dude, I
you
realize how
think
much
about your language a little. Like
you learn a lot more
yeah,
about you,
your
right?
your conversation.
You're like,
your
oh, that's what I
style.
sound like?
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is really good. I mean, it's a very good feedback loop, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're getting it directly, man.
It's
You're
interesting.
hearing it, mostly raw. I just cut out stuff that just seems like there's nothing interesting or going on, or might say something. But yeah, it is weird, especially hearing your own voice. I know a lot of people say they don't like the sound of their own voice.
Yeah, the sound of the voice
I
thing
think I don't know what that's about, but I think I got used to that because when I was in 5th grade at my elementary school, they had a radio there, and I was on the show. So we'd record like 1 week, and it would air every Friday, but we'd record like on Wednesday. It was just me and one other student. So then I'd hear myself, and everybody in the school would hear the show on Friday, so I got pretty used to it.
So that's tight. And
Yeah.
for some reason, I think the effect is a little bit less now. Like, I think when you're a kid, I remember the
Sure.
first time I heard myself talk, I was like, that is not what I sound like. But now,
Right, yeah.
but now, like in these few podcasts, I haven't even thought that at all. I'm like, yeah, that's what I sound
No.
like. So
No.
maybe the effect of you like talking your whole life, you start at least being more
True.
comfortable with what it actually sounds like. I don't know.
Yeah, and
But I haven't had that
You
so
know.
much during this at all.
no, I'm surprised honestly because
Yeah.
I've had moments like when I was in a class called production methods, and you learned how to do live shows, how to record, and how to edit. And the live show obviously was the most intimidating because they have you in the studio, they have the big camera, the big red light, and just go start talking, dude. Here it is. You have to start performing, and I froze up
Sure.
the first time for sure. I was just
Uh,
yeah, suddenly not
but that's
not
crazy.
funny, not engaged.
Live
It was
in front
weird.
of the school. Oh, wait, I guess it wasn't live. It was recording.
Well, yeah, you
But
yeah.
still.
you're just doing the class is watching it. You know what I mean? And the
Yeah.
professor.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
So
So it is kind of live.
yeah, it's live to an audience,
Yeah.
a very small audience, but
Yeah.
yes.
Interesting.
So I couldn't even imagine the people that I've always thought broadcasters a little underrated. You really do have to be pretty talented
For sure.
to carry on for hours.
Oh
They're
my
going on
gosh.
for hours and hours. It's hard to even have that kind of attention span.
Yeah.
At least for me, sometimes.
Also, thought about the whole monologue style of podcast. And so I listened to Bill Burr's
Like Bill
because I hadn't
Burr.
heard about anybody's. I was like, oh, well, Bill Burr, And I listened to that for a little bit, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm not going to listen to Bill Burr talk to me.
No.
I'm not. Well, actually, I'm not going to
His are
listen to
really
Bill Burr
short,
talk
though.
to himself. No.
Yeah.
No offense to Bill Burr, and no offense to his listeners there. If in case he hears me say this,
Yeah.
But it just seems like maybe that's not for me. I don't know. It's a strange format. I don't know. I'm not into that so much.
I think I do listen to his podcast, and I think he's the only one that can kind of get away with it, honestly.
So other
Because
ones are
it sounds
even
like
worse.
he's working out bits.
Yeah, yeah,
during
I hear
a
that.
show
I hear
because
that.
he's just telling his what happened to him recently, and
Yeah.
but yeah,
And
the
some
fact
of
that he
them
can
are the
ramble.
beginning of his bits, right? You
Right.
can tell he'll probably have a bit about something in his. You'll be able to look back at his podcast and see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, he turned that one into good something good.
It is weird. Like, I guess comedians are like made for radio already.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I
why.
mean?
Yeah,
Like, there's always been, I guess that has always been a thing. You call on the radio show to promote, hey, I'm doing comedy at this place, blah, 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 blah. You got to be funny. You got to, you want to be good.
yeah.
You
The
get on their
radio
show, get people to come.
has probably always had like, the comedian personality.
Yeah.
Whether or not they've like made it as a comedian yet or not, I bet you a lot of old like radio DJs were aspiring to be comedians, or
Oh,
maybe,
man, yeah.
or maybe a comedian for a while was like not thought of as a
I
career,
think-
but now they're like killing it with
Yeah.
those huge Netflix specials
Yeah,
and the huge
exactly.
live shows. It's like huge reconnaissance or whatever you call it. That's the wrong
Recon.
word.
I only know that in like
Reconnaissance
a
is
military sense.
when you're researching
Yeah,
something.
that's
Yeah,
correct.
I meant a resurgence.
Yeah, because I imagine, I mean, I bet back in like the golden days of radio, like, what was that thing that guy did where he tricked everybody into
Yes.
thinking aliens were
World
coming?
War of the Worlds.
Really?
Yeah,
That's what
it was
is?
first brought out as
So, like, that's a comedian
hilarious
on the radio right
That's
there,
a hilarious story.
dude. Yeah.
People didn't realize
Yes.
what like
It's the,
What
it was
that-
the birth of fake news.
yeah, right.
And just,
Look what they'll believe. You literally just play a sci-fi story over the internet and don't tell people that it's a story, and they just start freaking out. That's amazing.
yeah, dude.
I don't know that story
amazing.
very well, but I do remember
No,
thinking
me
it's
neither. But
hilarious.
I heard. Well, it's also
like,
funny
tune-
because I don't think anyone died. Like, I think there might have been
Right.
maybe like
There
a car
wasn't-
accident, or there was something that happened. I remember that.
Yeah, but it wasn't mass pandemonium
No.
and theft and.
no, I don't.
looting.
I don't think it was a nationwide broadcast. But
Well, I think a lot of people probably just tuned in the middle of it, and like now a
Yeah.
story by
Right.
and then it just. Oh, this just in, da 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 da, and you tuned in right there, and you're
Right.
like, "Holy shit, that's amazing!" And you don't have
Yeah.
a million other media channels to like double check.
Yeah.
You can't just Google, "Are there really
Yeah.
aliens?"
you're amazed by the radio already.
You
At
probably
that
go to
point in
your
history,
you
you're
probably
just,
go to
"Oh
your
my God."
neighbor and you're like, "Are you hearing this shit?"
Right.
And they're like, "Yeah." And you're like, "Son of a bitch, they're here."
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's kind of a good thing that happened. Kinda,
Or maybe they were trying to test. Maybe there really were aliens already, just like there are now, and they were trying to see the public reception. And they're like, "Just kidding.
Yeah.
That's just a story." Ha ha. But it's not.
Yeah, like I wouldn't even be upset with the government for hiding stuff like that. It's like it's probably good.
Oh, for sure,
it
dude,
to
because
not-
people will freak out.
Yeah.
Dude, I think people don't realize that how crazy it will actually be to realize that there are aliens. Because, dude, look, I think
Yeah.
the thing that people don't connect the dots is like, let's say, hey, by the way, there's aliens living among us, right? And we go ahead and tell everyone that, and you find out, because we don't know, you and me don't know, right? So let's just say us personally finding that out. Like, do you even know what you would have first assume about that coming out?
I mean, I guess the first reaction is like you are probably a little terrified.
Why?
I mean,
Why terrified?
just because it's something different, and more than likely it isn't even going to be life forms that are formed by DNA. They're going to be like life created in an entire different way. And I mean, anything close to that, I mean,
That's not
is-
terrifying,
is
though, that they're
like-
different necessarily, right?
well, I mean, like I would assume.
You're right that it's terrifying.
Well,
but
if you met a Neanderthal, tomorrow, that would be a little scary, right?
yeah, not as scary as an alien, though.
It's like,
Because look, if you
know,
find out
you're
that
you're
aliens,
something like me, but
to me, what people aren't like, to me, we are now slaves. Like if you find out there are aliens here, you now realize that humanity is not the top of the food chain. And we're cows.
yeah, we're little batteries for them or whatever
Yeah.
we need to be.
I mean,
Yeah. Whatever they're harvesting.
is it not that? Whatever they say goes.
I guess, yeah. I guess.
And maybe
there's
we don't vote.
So many scenarios.
And maybe we don't vote in their world. Like, if they got here,
Right.
we're not there. They win.
Yeah, I love the whole like
we're their bitches. All of a sudden, if and that's what I think
Mars
people
attacks,
don't.
man.
And that's what people don't realize about, like, oh, well, why wouldn't they just tell people? People be okay with that? I'm like, no, they won't. They won't be okay with, like, hey,
now
there
there's
are
no-
aliens, there are master overlords. It's all good. They're gonna start cropping us, harvesting us in 2025. So you've got 5 years. Don't worry.
Right.
No, bro. Like,
Yeah.
just don't tell them that they're going to harvest us in 5 years.
Yeah.
Just it's
That's what I
a
want.
30-year plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe the aliens got here and they said, "Hey, we need y'all to like this. Your brain is great. You know, we really need to harvest your brains, but there's not nearly enough of you. So do all these things. Here's some
Right.
technology that will help you explode your population so that we can harvest you later." Right? Is that not
Boom.
probably what's happening?
Yeah, that does kind of. It makes me
just
think.
so happens
it makes
that-
me think if like they truly are our overlords, it's better for us
To not know.
to not even
Absolutely.
know, and maybe better for the aliens too. Like that's
For us
maybe-
not to know.
Right.
Absolutely. So
Yeah,
they
it's
can
better
control
for them,
us.
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sim
Literally,
life.
take me to your leader. Like
Yeah.
that is what the aliens
Yes.
will be doing. They're
Yes.
like controlling.
Take me to your
who's
leader
really
so that I
the
can tell
controller,
them
yeah.
the fucking deal.
Yeah,
Because
literally.
here's how it's going to go, you
Right,
fucking
right.
bitches. Like, y'all are our bitches now. I hope you know that. Like,
yes.
y'all are ours.
Yeah, man.
Our
That's-
little pets.
I don't like. Yeah.
It's
I'm
scarier than you
waiting-
think is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like, people are like,
Yes.
oh, the nice green men. Like, no. The
Right.
fucking other humans that are bigger and badder than us. Like, we're
exactly.
Neanderthal. We are going to be caged up or
Right.
not caged up and, like, used for a plan. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
You know what?
that's why they wouldn't tell us. That's an easy explanation as to why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Because there's an end
Yeah.
on the calendar. Because
For
y'all
sure.
don't fucking matter. Oh, and they're going to keep a few of us. Like, don't worry.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to take out all of the species. I'm just saying it's like out of your control at that point. Your rocket ships don't matter. Your rocket
Right.
ships are fucking little stupid toys. Like, y'all are meaningless. You think we're these, like, you think we're this species that's, like, pioneering space travel and, like, trying to get the phenomenon of life to spread to other planets, you know, and not to end here when the sun explodes, and all these noble causes of humanity. And then all of a sudden we're like nothing compared
Yeah.
to alien man.
But-
Like,
but do you really think like most people actually believe like we are the most advanced species in the universe? Like, I'd say
mean-
most people don't think that. I could be way off.
No, I don't think people have hard opinions on that because we
Sure,
can't
yeah.
find them
It's-
and we
it-
can't.
Yeah.
And there is a Fermi.
It's an unknown.
There's a
We
paradox
just
as
have
to
no
why we
idea.
have, if they exist, why have we not found them?
Yeah.
Well,
there's a lot of theories about that.
Yeah, that's the Fermi paradox, which is an interesting one. Really
Oh,
interesting.
okay.
Fermi paradox, they talk about the numbers of the universe and how it's so likely that through the numbers of Earth-like planets,
Right.
because there's more Earth-like planets
Okay.
than grains of sand on all the beaches in the Earth.
Right.
So you're like, oh,
Yeah.
so there's that many
Yes.
Earths, so there's got to be life. And then they also lay out this, like, society evolution where, like, you get to,
Right.
as a civilization, you will
Yeah,
eventually get to, like, type
There's-
5,
yeah,
where you
yeah.
can totally
I've heard that
utilize
one,
every
too.
ounce of energy with no waste, and you can travel through space, and you can do all these things, right? And it assumes that, if those two things are true, then there has to be an alien force somewhere, and they should have been able to reach the other, by at some point. And then there's these explanations as to why not. Why haven't there been contact, right? Or why are we left alone out here without contact? It's like either we're the first, or there's something that keeps them all from evolving to Type
Yeah.
5, which they call the Great Barrier. And there's all sorts of
Is that when you can like travel to another galaxy?
the Great Barrier.
I
Or
mean,
or-
I'm
no,
just trying
so
to think.
so what keeping you? So when you're Type 5, yeah, Type 5 you can travel anywhere. I think you can do intergalactic space travel but no one like obviously we don't have that proven yet. It's just a theory
Yeah.
that we will eventually get there, or any evolution will eventually get there, right? Like society will evolve into this eventually, because that's what we're trying to do: become more and more and more efficient. If you believe that we can advance to that point, then someone else would advance to that point too. But anyway, there's all sorts of theories as to why it hasn't happened. And
Right. I've
it's
heard
called
like
the Fermi paradox.
I've heard like the theory that what we've done here is like only a tiny little like piece of grass in a forest. So obviously when you're looking out at everything, you might not even notice that little thing. Like we might be like that
Oh,
insignificant to where like aliens don't even like
yep. So
they're just like, oh yeah, that's everywhere.
there is a super remote theory where we're like remote from the rest of it, and there's enough of it going on that we're like not worth contacting. So maybe we've
Yeah.
just been left off of the
But that's
contact
weird
list.
too,
It is weird.
because everything is fascinating. I mean,
Yeah.
even
No, you'd want to know about all of them. Well,
Yeah.
here's the more interesting thing is that like so there's a theory in it, like God, you could just read for hours about this shit. But there's one where like, okay, so the reason why you don't know of one is because there is like the first one that got to Type 5 becomes a society eater, because they don't want anyone to also get to Type 5 and compete. So what they do is go around destroying civilizations before they get there. So they basically detect life and destroy life so that they can, not ever have a competitor, because that would be their only threat, is another life form coming up. It's just like us, like
gotcha.
thinking about our threats all the time. Like, you can't just only think about America, right? Like, well, like it'd be good for America to get rid of the military. It's like, well, no, there's China. We got to have military, right?
Yeah.
So we all agree to have a military
Yeah,
because there's others.
because there's
Because there's
mutually
fucking
assured
others.
destruction.
Yeah, there's others of us. And they might have the same idea. And then there's the whole dark forest theory, dude, that's like really fun to talk about, where it assumes that we're all kind of emerging in space, and we have no way of communicating with each other, but we could like detect each other, right? So what would we do? Like, we'd probably destroy each other first, because you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the whole idea being it's like the Joker Batman, whenever he
This
puts
is
those
how I win.
the two fairies, and he puts like the other fairies detonator on
Oh,
each
okay.
other's ship,
Fair-
and they're like,
yeah.
look, if you don't blow the other ship up, you're
Right.
gonna get blown up. The first one to blow the other ship up
Yeah.
means the other detonator's destroyed and you won't get detonated. You remember that? in The Dark Knight?
Yes.
Or
And they end up not doing
Yeah,
it, right?
they end up
Yeah.
not doing it, but I think that's wishful thinking.
Oh, yeah. But we have that going on all the time, man.
In real
Like,
life-
India and Pakistan. Like,
Yeah. In
they
real
have
life,
nukes pointed at each other constantly.
Yeah.
And, like, if something happens, like, I mean,
in real
Yeah.
life on that ferry, do you think someone would have blown up the other ferry?
yeah, it would have been a Trump supporter. white fucking right wing motherfuckers. Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we got kill him."
I mean, it's
No,
just,
for sure. I think somebody, like,
I remember
would
that
take
scene.
control of that situation.
Yeah,
An
that's-
alpha is gonna rise up somehow.
remember, and that's what
and
that
do something.
That's what happens in the movie too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the movie, an alpha shows up and they like take it by force, and they go,
Yeah.
they say, I'm about to do what should have happened 10 minutes ago or whatever, and he throws it out the window. But you think he's like, the whole
Yeah.
scene's built up to make you think he's
Yeah.
like about to get
He's
it and
about
touch
to.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think
Huh.
too, though, the stupid thing about that one is that one of them is like a boat full of prisoners.
That's right.
Inmates.
There was, yeah.
And the other one is like a citizen. So the citizens are like, they made their
Oh,
choice.
right.
They made, and they're really wanting to push it.
Yeah. But then if you're in jail, you're probably cool with like, yeah, society's already
Fucked us
taken away
over.
my freedom.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not
exactly.
gonna die. Like
Yeah,
if I don't have my
exactly.
freedom, I'm gonna have my life at least.
Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
alien shit, man. Like, it just so happens
Yeah.
in War of the Worlds, they are harvesting them all, right?
Yeah,
They've got
and
those
they,
big like.
they're harvesting them and they die from
And
some
then they die from the
common
biology.
cold or whatever.
Yeah. Like they didn't have the.
I think that's what freaks me out is the whole biology thing of like I don't even know if it would hurt you though. Like wouldn't you think if there was something from an entirely other planet, it
It would
wouldn't even
be-
affect your
it would
biology
be
because
hard.
it's never interacted ever. You know what I mean? Like if we
would
if we had a ship fly to Europa right now and drill holes
All
and
of its
find
bacteria.
some water creature, whatever, like I don't even think it would do anything to us. I don't even think it has like. I mean, it would be carbon-based life form, I guess.
If it
but-
was carbon based, then I think it would
Yeah.
have enough similarities
know,
to be able to
'cause-
eat each other. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But it would definitely be like, oh, just think if it was like an animal and you had to eat
Yeah.
it. Think about if you had to eat it. It would definitely be. It might not compute. I think you're
Yeah.
right. I think you're right in the sense that it might be like, this is way too foreign.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do. We don't know how to break it down. It's not even the
Right.
same kind of amino acids as the rest of us. I'm using words that I
Yeah.
learned in biology and don't know what they are. But like, yeah, I know what you're saying, that they
Yeah.
might be the systems. Every organism in our system is related.
yes,
Every single one.
everything, yeah,
So they're a little bit like the other guy, which means we can eat the other guy, right? So if they're nothing alike, if we have zero common ancestors, can we eat each other? Because the idea here is that we all have a common single cell organism,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? There's that, I don't know. Probably
It's,
a lot of people think we came from space now, which I think is a great theory, like a mushroom from space and then evolved.
that's actually pretty common theory that
Yeah.
like a meteorite
Yeah.
crashed into the water
That had some
and
kind
started,
of life from
yeah.
something else. So maybe we're not. Eventually, someone had to be the first, I guess. But even like, what if there was another Earth where, where God literally like God took the clay and built a person, and then like the literal Adam and Eve story, but it wasn't Earth.
That is weird.
So we are like just a space meteor fungi probe, but the creation story did happen.
Yeah, we
on
just got the wrong. Yeah,
KX35.
they're like,
instead
yeah,
of-
that's the right story, but not this planet.
yeah,
That would be very weird.
because
Like,
there
yeah, there
is
is
an
a
origin
god, but
story
we're
somewhere,
not talking
right?
about. Yeah, that's funny.
Because if you assume that we did get like planted here from a spore, right? Then there's got to be a creation story somewhere else, right?
Did you ever play the
That
video game
explains
Spore?
ours. No,
Oh man, you should check it out. It's great.
spore.
Yeah, that's literally the game. Is a spore from outer space crashes onto a planet, and you like become a creature, like in water at first, and you
Yeah.
evolve them up, and then you have society, and then you get into like wars and stuff like that. There's like a tribal stage, there's civilization stage, and then there's like interspace travel.
Oh,
like trading with other alien species.
Dang,
and
it
stuff
goes
like,
all the way.
It goes all the way. Yeah.
that's great. So it's a civilization game that takes into consideration these kind of conversations, like the
Yeah, I mean,
outside
after
of Earth.
well, when I played that game, like I don't know, it totally changed my way of thinking. Like, it's that crazy. Because I mean,
Enlightening,
we were
kind of.
kind of raised in West Texas, where evolution was not like
Yeah,
talked about a
Yeah.
whole bunch.
yeah. I remember
Like in
buying-
school, they were definitely like this. Like this
Yeah.
is all we're talking about is environment and
Yeah.
how it changes a
Yeah,
species.
yeah.
It's
We were
like
taught.
very. Yeah, we were
Yeah.
definitely taught.
Yeah, because I remember trying to
But
piece
not,
them all
like-
together. I remember trying to like let them coexist, right? Like I remember trying to figure out
Yeah.
how Sunday school and Darwin
Right.
can both be right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember I always had so many like religious
Which I did.
professors that would be like, you know, they'd be hardcore scientists and still like
Dude,
believe it. You know, be like Christian. I'm just like, I don't know how you're making
oh,
them work together so well,
I-
but
I-
good
I-
for you.
I came up with ways to do it, like profound,
Oh, nice.
like ways that I thought I was so proud of. You know what I mean? Like I would sit there and say to people, like my Christian friends who weren't evolution, like believers or whatever, I'd say, look, like why does the Genesis story have progress? Because if God's telling you that He made it, He'd say, "I said, bam, motherfuckers," and it happened.
Yeah.
But He says, "Look, I laid this out, and then I laid this out, and then there was a sky and water, and then there was, you know." And He's saying on day 1, on day 2, on day 3, and there's not a day before
Right.
the Earth revolves around the sun, and the Earth revolves around itself. There's not a day. So I think basically I'm saying, look, He's showing you that He formed it over time, that there was a progress bar.
Yeah.
7 days. And days I think just means segments. Like first all this shit had to happen. And then this shit had to happen. And then this shit had to happen. You know?
Yeah.
So like that to me, and even if you kind of look at him, it is forming the universe. You know?
Yeah.
Like on day 1, this shit happened. I'm not a Genesis guru, but it is basic. You can like picture the universe forming if you read it, and you're like,
Oh, yeah.
well, why can't He have used evolution as the method, right? That was my
Yeah.
whole thought.
I think I always heard growing up like it doesn't matter how exactly
How
it
he did
happens. It matters that he did it.
But I just
That's
thought
what
it
I would
was amazing
always
that
say.
he, in the story, there's progress, and there's one step before
Yeah.
the next step. And I thought that was just really telling of evolution. And then I think there was also, oh yeah, then the big one was childbirth and how it's so painful for women. Okay. And
That's the best part of the Bible.
so it's punishment,
Like
right?
time to punish.
It's
women.
punishment for what? For eating the apple, right? And the
yes.
apple is what? The fruit of knowledge, right? So basically, they're like gaining knowledge and awareness, right? And in exchange for that, God makes women's childbirth hurt, right? So in anthropology or whatever, we learned that like the reason birth is so hard for humans is because we stand upright. And before, when we were chimps or whatever, you know, like your hips are in a way that like they're more separated because you're like squatted. And then as you need to do this all the time and point them straight down, your hips have to form in a way that isn't conducive to like pushing a baby out. So I said, look,
like a squatty
how-
potty.
So how is evolution, like the fossil record, right? How's the fossil record and the creation story, right? Both pointing out that as you get smarter, childbirth hurts. Because the other thing that I forgot to mention is that the reason we went upright is because we used our hands for more and more shit, because we were smarter and smarter. And the more we used our hands to fuck with things and learn about things and freeing up, like freeing our hands is really like tied into the evolution of our intelligence, right? So the two things happen together, and in the Bible they happen together too. So it's
you
like,
weren't kidding. I haven't heard that
oh,
one.
bro, I was trying hard.
Those are some gymnastics, man.
Yeah, I was trying hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
I really wanted.
You wanna, yeah, keep the faith for sure.
Yeah, you want it. I did. Now I still have a little bit of a motivation to do that. Like,
yeah,
because
I think we always will.
Because I still
because
think
we were brainwashed our entire childhood to believe.
But
that.
Yes, so that's what turns you off is you see.
Yeah.
You see men using these things.
At first, yeah, that's what turns you off for
because
sure.
I don't think wasn't it us that talked about that religion evolved out of people's need for it? And not a manipulation tactic. It was necessarily we want to live in a world where God saves us and takes us home.
So we can live our lives and get things done and not
that's a cooler
pontificate
world.
forever.
Look, like we realized, here's what I think. We realized one day, hey, we can't keep us from dying, but we can change the reality we live in just by believing it. Because if you believe that when you die you go to heaven, then is that not true? If everyone who cannot disprove that, right? Like, I guess what I'm saying is they just wanted to live in a world where that was true. So you just make it true.
Make it so.
You just make it true.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Which how do you do that? Just by believing it. And making and as soon as ever, because what is reality? Reality is, I mean, look up the definition of reality.
Yeah.
Look it up on your computer or whatever. I'm pretty sure it's like defined by others agreeing with you. Like
later.
It can't be reality unless others agree. So you're out of touch with reality.
Reality is the world or the stage of things as they actually exist, as opposed to an idealistic or notional idea.
Well, see, that's how I think of reality too.
Or the state or quality of having existence or substance. Youth when death has no reality.
Yeah, exactly.
True that.
Yeah, maybe it was somebody's version of the definition of reality. Is they're saying actually reality is what people agree on.
There's actually
there's a lot of different ways.
A lot of definitions of it.
Define it. Yeah, that's how I think of it. Though, like the world of state as it actually exists,
right?
Like as opposed to this afterlife idea. You know what I mean? So I think. But anyway, we digressed. The idea was that it came out of not an oppression manipulation tactic. It came out of a desire, supply and demand thing. Well, that's what I think. And then, so in that vein, I guess what I wanted to try to say is that some of me still thinks that there's some kind of wisdom in the spiritual religious sector that we're going to find out is true with the other pursuit. So I think they're both flawed, right? Like we don't have all knowledge. There's so much shit that we can explain a lot, but we don't know a lot too. You know what I mean? So it makes me feel like you should always try to make them work. You know what I mean? Somehow. Like I was doing those mental gymnastics to try to get God to still exist, or for there to be like a bigger meaning outside of it all. I don't know.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I mean, it's scripture is definitely a tool, man. Like you can really, shape it into whatever is gonna work for you. Like honestly, it's not. That's the whole beauty of it. It's not about reality. I think it's about the the known unknowns, I guess.
I think there's something spiritual to reality.
Yeah, I mean, there is like spirituality does exist in nature. Like there is something to it for sure that goes beyond.
I think there's something
just
magical
religions
about existence.
Yeah.
Is why I say it's
Okay.
spiritual.
Nice.
I just don't think it can exist here without magic.
Yeah, man.
Because there's so many of those like where did it all begin? Where did that begin? Where did that begin? Where did that begin? Where did God begin? Who made God? All those things.
Yeah.
Like the shit that's like science cannot explain this.
Yeah, because science can't explain everything
Magic.
already.
Only magic.
Yeah, only magic.
Only magic. Like at some point, someone has to say, magic is the explanation. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
For
that's
sure.
what I mean by
There
it
is,
all.
yeah. Magic is just this element this unknown element
That does not make sense.
Yeah.
It's like
But
something
it's here
spiritual. That's
somehow.
what they say, like God is that, right? God
Yeah.
used that magic. But I don't care. I don't care how to define it or anything, but I am pretty certain, maybe just because I'm limited in my knowledge, but it just feels like there's something that fuels everything, that
Yeah.
started everything, that, something outside of us that is unexplainable is magic,
Yeah, like I was watching this football yesterday.
All right.
And like just talking about magic, I was using that word because they were like losing the whole game.
Okay.
And I'm just like getting mad because I like woke up early and cooked all this queso and braised beef and like took me 2 hours and I went and set up an antenna at Aaron's house and like they're sucking. And I'm just like, they're barely staying in the game, and I'm just like, magic. It's the only thing. It's the only way they can win. And sure enough, they get like this onside kick, like at the end of the game, and win by a field goal.
No way.
And I was just like,
It's magic.
oh, yeah, exactly. It's just this.
It was me saying
Yeah.
magic.
You saying
It was me summoning the magic
Yeah, exactly.
from Laramie Trail.
Yeah, you're just like, it's how ridiculous it all sounds, but like, I think it's about just believing the right thing at the right time. That's what I think was the gift of prophets, is they just happen to say the right things at the right time with the charismatic, way about them.
The thing about prophets is just
Because like, maybe Charles Manson could have started his own religion if he would have been saying those things at the right time, in the right place.
he did, didn't he?
You know what I mean?
He definitely
I
convinced
guess
a lot of people to listen
guess
to
he
him.
did convince some
He was a
people for
guru.
sure.
He was one of those dudes who could talk, Like, that's a skill. You see those people that can do that. It's like all the freaking preachers in America know
Oh,
how
yeah.
to do that.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
good. Sometimes I'll go to church and be like, that guy's good.
I was learning. I could do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if I were to like stayed in church and preach to that audience. That's pretty easy. That's like the easiest it gets. I think what the people like Manson do, or whoever, is they're able to like grab a different section through like radical rhetoric and like consume people's lives through making people believe that rhetoric. I mean, that's a fucking skill, bro. Like, it's so shitty of me, but I like admire every cult leader out there. I'm like, wow, you're so goddamn capable at being a human. Like, you're a piece of shit, and you did terrible things, but the fact that you could do that and manipulate all of your fellow man and know what you're doing and no one else fucking does, like, you're almost like a god. Like, people think of those are the demigods of the old world, right? Like, you convince people you're a god, and then Live as one. Fuck you. How do you do that?
Like you're an Egyptian pharaoh or something. You just tell
Yeah.
everybody, oh, I'm God, sir.
That's what
the way
all
it
these
is.
cult leaders have done. It's just
Yeah.
amazing. How do you pull
Well,
that
in
off?
such a short amount
Can
of
you-
time, too, is what's so
Here's what I'm trying to
mind-blowing.
say is, I don't think I can fucking convince a goddamn soul on the planet that I am
'Cause
God.
you have a conscience.
No. Yeah, maybe because I couldn't just
Like, to me,
blindly do
I mean,
it.
yeah, they're like, to me, they're just like serial killers. Like, it's incredible what they're capable of doing.
It
Yeah,
is.
but it's like, oh, yeah, because you have no actual real emotions or empathy. Like,
Just straight
you're
lying,
like, sick.
100% lie,
Yeah, I mean,
manipulation.
Well, that's
100%
the thing
of
with
it.
pastors is there's other people in the church like that can speak up against them. Like they've all, you know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah, it's yeah.
you can speak. You know, another pastor can be like, we condemn what this person's saying. Like Westboro Baptist Church,
Uh-huh.
they're like, you
Like,
know,
that's not our
God
cult.
hates
Yeah.
beeps. You know, like
Yeah.
like
It's what Christianity is like a cult with reins on it. So that
Yeah.
that like
Yeah. There is ethics for
society
sure.
society can survive it, right?
Yeah.
So that it's not a threat to society, right? So that people
Yeah.
can buy in and not, you know, worry about losing their family members and being like fucking like
Yeah.
really controlled. I mean, it's
yeah, wouldn't I mean just imagine like, you know, like Reagan just dropping contact with you when she grows up, just because like I found this person or this you know this church, like that level is just nuts. Like
Oh, yeah,
that
I mean,
people
I
just
would be-
like left their like abandoned their whole families, like or took their whole family with them to South America.
That's
like,
dude, that's my main reason for wanting to get my girls into church. Like I'm gonna take them to church because look,
you need a spiritual education.
Me
for
going
sure.
to church is like, bro, you cannot cult my ass. Like, I know nobody knows about God. I know all these motherfuckers who pretended to know didn't know.
Yeah.
Now I know anybody who says that shit is full of shit. So I can't get God.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, if I don't
Good-
ever take
good
Reagan
point.
into church, one day she's going to be told about this beautiful
Right.
world that she's never been told about, where she can live forever and have all of these, all her problems just go away
Yeah.
because I'm God. You just need to submit to me, and that sounds wonderful. And I don't have any. I've
That's
never
crazy.
heard all that shit before, and
Yeah.
I'm literally naive. Like,
That's a good point.
yeah,
because
let
it all
them get
all
duped.
sounds like
Let them get duped by Sunday school. Let them realize.
Yeah.
And look, if you get duped and you never get out of it, fine, be a Sunday school teacher. Don't be a Charles Manson follower. Like, follow First Baptist Church your whole life. Fine.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not going to rise
That's
above
true.
that, let them get caught in that net.
Yeah.
And then if you can get out of that net, you're not going to get caught by another net. But if you don't ever get in that net,
Yeah.
you don't know how to watch out for the other motherfuckers.
Interesting. Yeah, it's weird, like because like you really do think like there's no actual point of philosophy or like why do I even go and think about these things or why do people talk about them? And it's like, well, they're actually more critical than you realize, I guess. Like,
Well,
they can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Like those ideas.
Yeah, just
you know,
as
if you don't,
dangerous
if
as
you don't,
anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I just never thought about it that way. Like, yeah, I guess you don't want to be sheltered from
No.
religion at all. That's a mistake.
Yeah, that's
a
the
big
thing is
mistake.
I got to get back in church.
Yeah. Did you have to promise to raise your children Christian when you got married?
Oh no.
They when Aaron got married, they did that, and I like had to
'cause they're
sign as a
Catholic,
witness.
yeah.
Like, I will also see too, like them going to a Catholic church. You know, raised
Wow.
Catholic. They have to like apparently you do that with the priest if you're not Catholic.
Holy shit.
But apparently that's more progressive than they used to be. Like I think like back in the day, like if you're not Catholic, you have to convert to get married. Someone that is, even if you're Protestant. Like I think old school, that's how it was. but the Catholics are smart, man. They know to change with the times. I mean, all the religions do, but I feel like they're pretty good at, like, trying to keep people interested. Like, the Pope right now said atheists can go to heaven and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
they know, they're smart. They're like, we are
Yeah.
losing people.
Yeah.
And, like, we need to actually, like, have a message for the world that people want to hear,
I
so
haven't
they can
kept
get
up
in our
with the Catholics
churches.
in a
and-
long time. Or do they really say that atheists can go to church now?
The Pope,
I mean,
the Pope
can
said
go to,
that.
to heaven. What
Yeah.
was his saying behind that? Do you know? Because
I mean, yeah, that definitely sounds out of context.
no, because I think I know what you're talking about. I've heard this too. Like, yeah, there you go. Can do good and go to heaven.
Yeah.
Where's your quote, bro? Where's your quotes at? They complain, if he is not one of us, he cannot do good. If he is not our party, he cannot do good. He explained that Jesus corrected them. Do not hinder him. He says, let him do good.
Saying we're intolerant.
I need to read the Bible again.
Yeah,
Bible's
as
a
an adult.
trip. But yeah, without believing what I believe now, like let me, because look, Jesus talking right there is so interesting. They're telling him he's not a part of our party, and he's like, Jesus is like, fuck your parties, like let
Yeah.
him do good shit. You don't need to convert him.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I'd love to.
I was telling Mom the other day, I'm a Christian, like. Not
Yeah.
because I believe Jesus died on the cross for me and that he's in my heart, but because I live by Christian morals. Like I
act as though it's real.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I was.
I act as though God does exist.
That's not what I mean, but I do know. I do
gotcha.
that. I do that.
So, all right. So
I mean-
unpack that for me.
I just mean Jesus and his teachings. I agree with. Like, love
yeah.
your neighbor as yourself. That's the main commandment. I believe that if we all did that, that's great community.
Oh man, that makes me think.
I mean, I'm monogamous, you know what I'm saying? Which is kind of a Christian ideal. I don't think Jesus said to do that, but I think that's been a Christian ideal.
Well, I was gonna say, do you think that's why so many, like, Christians in America are totally cool with, like, being really anti-government and being like, I don't know what I'm trying to get at here, but like
pack it.
how
Let me hear it.
so like hold on, let me see if I can find this.
Sorry, did it ever pass that?
G to speaking against the government embolden Christians. So it's almost like if you're someone that's like, claiming that everything is fake news and 5G is causing coronavirus and just like these wild ideas, like I kind of get a feeling that those people making those claims are more than likely religious.
Okay.
So like, does the whole idea with Jesus, his thing was like he was like totally against like how society was set up in general, right? Just was crucified, like by a court basically, like by the government that ruled over where he lived. So I'm just wondering if like
I
almost wonder like if his story like empowers Christians a little bit more with
to be
being, like-
anti-government?
yeah, I mean, I'm talking about like extremists. Like, do you think that that's like kind of a product
I
of Christianity that they're
think-
able to get to that point
I
and be
think-
justified in doing it? I mean, it's kind of like, I know that there's like radical Muslim groups and stuff like that, and they're like doing it for religious reasons, but I almost feel like, yeah, the whole Christ story maybe, I don't know. This is all nonsense coming out of my mouth, basically. But I don't know.
He knew he was gonna get crucified just by saying what he was saying, right? Like
Might be
that
dead.
was the whole idea. Is he knew it was coming. That's the story. He predicted his own death because he was saying shit, and people were like, "Who's this Jesus guy saying all this shit?" and he knew that they were gonna crucify him
Okay.
because it's obvious. Hey, I'm talking all this crazy rhetoric out here. I'm Charles Manson. Like, they're gonna fucking come kill me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's what it was all about. I'm saying crazy things, man.
Yeah, saying crazy things, man.
But so when you talk about that, I think that there's some guy. I don't know how I want to start this story, but I'm thinking, okay, I subscribe to God and I believe I'm going to die and go to heaven. I think that emboldens me to not subscribe to the government as my last line of defense before death, who will ultimately eat me, right? Because in one side, I'm a feeble human who is going to live and then die, and the government helps protect me from my fellow man, and yada yada. And then the other guy is an immortal who can't be fucked with, right? Like, I will never die. I will live again. And you know what? I answer to God.
Yeah.
And not your government. So if that's
Sure.
what you're saying, I definitely think it can create. It is a good religion for capitalists. No, for capitalists, but democracy. Like,
Gotcha.
democracy. What I'm starting to really have really think there's a conviction behind the idea that democracy is only given or earned or only deserved by people who can, like, not need anything. Like, completely self-sufficient motherfuckers are the only people who deserve a democracy or can even keep one together. So the more you need the government, the less likely your democracy is to survive. I think each individual needs to be like a rugged farmer, ranch owner. Like, that's where we started, you know?
Yeah.
And then the more you have of the people in need of everything from the government, right? To protect your, like, even the initial need, which is to protect me from my fellow man, right? Even that should be pretty heavily individually taken upon.
Kinda,
like, I should have a gun.
kind of honor system.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you fuck with me, I'll
Yeah,
fuck
we
with
used to-
you.
yeah.
And you know what I'm saying?
The country
Like,
was built on duels, and
yeah,
you know what I
like,
mean.
so as I watch everything happen, and there's all this crazy talk about what'll happen with democracy and capitalism, and you know where are we headed, and all this shit, I'm like, I do have that conviction of, well, I really am not that rugged ranch owner not needing anybody, and nobody I know is that. And like, if that's true about like being not needing the government at all, I kind of do think we're in a little bit of trouble as far as that
Yes.
goes. As
Yeah.
far as like, we couldn't just say, you know what, we'll do no government for a while, fuck y'all, until we figure it out. We couldn't really do that because our society would eat itself, right?
Yeah.
So if you build a society that wouldn't eat itself and can just say, fuck you, this
Yeah.
isn't working out, we'll figure out something new over the next few years, you know? Like, and we'll just operate as normal on our ranches, and fuck you, don't
Right.
fuck with me, you don't fuck with me either. Like, you know, individual kind of shit.
Yeah, and that's
I mean, that's pretty
I gotcha.
simplistic thinking. I'm not trying.
Yeah.
I know there's all sorts of shit to unpack there, right? That why it doesn't. I don't know.
I
It's
mean,
just a conviction to be able to be more self-sufficient.
yeah, we are way too dependent because, I mean, we could shut the whole thing down any day. The revolution could happen any day in this country. Like, there is enough freedom here, and that because of democracy, that could happen. Like, if everyone in the United States said, we're not spending one more dollar, we're not doing one more thing, like, until shit changes. Like, we can shut it down. Like, it is possible, theoretically.
Sure.
But, like, we're so dependent that will never happen. Like, we want to give the power up. Like, no. Like, I don't want to, like, actually think or make the decisions. Like, I want to give that power up for sure.
For sure.
Like, I don't want to live in the wilderness and, like, live off the land and do all that shit. No, like,
No.
which is another thing that's possible that people do all over the world. I'm sure there's people in the middle of Russia and people just out in the wilderness, man, just living in their own little world. But yeah, man, I don't think the government getting shut down is going to happen by the American people anytime soon.
No, because we can't.
We can't even.
We would never choose that.
We can't even. I remember, like, the first time I realized, like, God damn it, like, people are fucking dumb. Like, on, like, a pretty big scale was. Remember that when that hurricane hit, the gas shortage was insane.
Yeah.
And, like, I almost got stranded in Kingsland because, like, nowhere has gas. And it's just like all these retards like run. Oh, we all got to get it. Like, dude, we can't, like, we have to keep the gas at a surplus.
Yes.
We can't just everyone at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so pissed off.
And
like,
I think that
it's like, God.
I think what happens, okay? Do you feel like that hasn't always been like that?
Yeah, like I was saying, I was just sort of realizing it. That was the first time I, like, really noticed, and it, like, kind of impacted me off of, like, no action on my part, but still, like, because a rumor goes around that there's going to be a gas shortage that wasn't even real.
I think
that definitely pissed me off.
I think that there's a numbers thing that happens where a society or community, probably the community within society, hits a number to where it becomes fragmented, to where it doesn't have a voice, a real voice, and you get this unorganized body. It's just a different thing. It's like evolved to the next organism, right? Or the next, well, yeah, you're considered something else because I don't know how to really explain what I'm saying, but people act differently at, like, 5 people, like 1 person versus 5 people, 2 people versus 5 people versus 10 people versus 50 people versus 5,000 people versus 1 million people, right? Like, start clumping those things together and different things happen.
True.
Right? So I'm saying at the million number, or maybe at the, when even small towns have 100,000 people now, I think at probably 10,000 people or less, like, that community already, like, you probably have to be a couple hundred people of, like, people who work together to have a community that all understand each other and all can kind of talk at City Hall and have, like, this consensus of how things should be, right? Like, but then a town of 10,000 people, right, versus 100 is going to have a really different, like, a lot of people are not going to be heard at all, and just, some people, and then 100,000 people towns, you've got homeless people already. You've got, you know what I mean? You've, like, it just, and then, I'm just saying, I think at one point, our ability to communicate properly, like, changes how it, or not properly, but I just am pointing out that evolution of numbers and, like, what happens at 100 million, 400 million, 6 billion, it's just, it's so complicated. It's so complicated that I think it's above us, and we try to understand it with what we're talking about. Like, all these things we're talking about is political, religion, and, like, they all almost don't make sense anymore. Almost all the conversations just lead to nowhere because we can't wrap our head around it. Like it's all bigger than us now. It's all bigger than our capacities, and maybe that's what's forcing our capacity up. Right? Maybe that's where our mental evolution is. Like, we're stretching these fucking brain muscle, like, right now to try to understand all these things we're just chatting about, because we don't understand the 100 million dynamic, you know, like we do the 100 dynamic. The 100 dynamic, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, you're the farmer, you're the milk guy, you're the, you know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you feel like? And what are your problems? Okay, okay. So we all should have these rights, you know? And then, and now we're into like identity politics and like, and you know, you just all these things that we fucking really just are attempting to understand and put a package on and a labels on, and it's
Yeah,
probably
man.
just maybe that's what's,
It does always feel so beyond me,
yeah,
you know.
which
and,
is
and I mean, yeah, anytime you get into politics for a while, like I'll go on stints where I'm like watching a lot of news and stuff like that. It's just like this
Can't
is
wrap
all
your
way,
head.
yeah, this is all way above.
can't wrap your head.
Yeah.
So, and trying to maybe in there
Yeah.
lies the
But it's so perplexing,
the
so you can't
push
help but,
for
like, think
higher
about it.
capacity in
Yeah.
the human brain. Like maybe we're asking for it because there's things that are beyond us now. Maybe we're like, come on, nature, we're not smart enough. Come on, come on, you know?
Right, yeah.
And maybe that's what,
Trying to will ourselves
yeah,
into
yeah. And I think that's how nature works, bro. Like
yeah, right.
there's got to be a mechanism, and I think it's will. It's wants to. It's like I can like I'm this blob of goo and I sense this light somehow, and I'm like, I want to be able to sense it more. Like, I mean, it I understand that the eyeball evolves that way, but like
Yeah.
why? Because of something, like not to make it survive more. I mean, maybe,
Yeah.
but even if it's to survive more, it's because it wants to, because it wills to survive. There is a will in life in general. Like it can't happen
Yeah.
without will. Like none of it can happen without will. Not even bacteria is what I'm saying. It all has a will.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely
even to be born, it took will.
Right.
I mean, just the whole process
yeah.
of your life,
Yeah.
like in surviving.
I mean, it's most commonly recognized as the will to survive, but it's not the only one. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well,
There's also a will to advance
yeah.
as a
There is
species.
will to advance. Yeah, because I think
Maybe.
will to advance is the one that's a little more important because, I mean, we only want one thing, and that's to just survive, right? And we're only guaranteed one thing is that we're not going to survive.
Maybe advancing is still
So
surviving.
yeah. So like advancing is like I think more like why you can't help but like want to think about these things and like you know we're
Maybe
just
that's
wired. We're
surviving
just
too,
all
though.
wired. We're like trying to find a way like how are we gonna keep pushing this thing along?
Because not even every species got to stick around, if you think about it,
No.
right? So there's like
No.
a fight to survive as a species, even. So advancing as a species is still surviving. It's still
Yeah,
the will to
exactly.
survive, right? Like almost premeditated, proactive surviving. Like we got to be better or else we're not going to survive,
Yeah.
you know?
Because I think that's where
Like the dodo bird's will to advance
Yeah.
was not good enough
yeah.
or strong enough.
And I
Fast enough.
guess yeah, you're right. Since it's not since your life isn't you know, we grow the crops and like that's our life, you know, like since it isn't so cut and dry simple where you know, that's what you're focused on is ways to innovate that like and now we're in this weird realm of like we don't have like normal jobs. We like there isn't like such thing anymore of like what is important is like only defined by you, you know, and maybe that's why like you can't take your mind off of it because like we have it so good in a way, like
We also
we're
have
like
the
it has to be
time.
better though. Yeah, like you have the time. True.
Yeah, maybe it's also going to get in our way. Like the
Yeah, that's
idea
I
to
worry
get
about
it
that
to
too.
get it better. I sometimes like I know, man. I'm like, man, we definitely got to like keep oppressing less and less people.
Yeah.
Right? Like keep getting out of the way of oppression. You know? I get that. But the idea, like, is that society is so far above us that we're saying defund the police.
Yeah,
And
that's what I was gonna say. Like people have great intentions of wanting to like make things better, but they like end up hurting us a lot too, because it's just not even like
because they don't
actually
understand.
healthy.
Because we don't understand enough to
Right,
be
yeah.
like acting on these things. To be honest, it's so hard to juggle the ball, man. Like we don't.
Did you see? There's a billboard when you're coming into Austin from San Marcos that says, "Now entering a defunded police zone. Enter at your own risk."
Are
Or
you
like something like that?
shitting
It's
me?
hilarious, dude.
Where is that?
No, I saw it. I saw it on Saturday. Driving back, okay, like I'm not exactly sure which exit, but driving back from San Marcos to Austin on 35, there's a big billboard that's saying like entering a police defunded zone, enter at your own risk or something. Like it was so funny.
That is
I
funny.
had to do a double take, man. I looked it up just to make sure, but
Sure enough.
yeah,
Billboard
I mean,
up.
because what is that gonna do? Like, come on, the Mayor Adler, the guy seems to not be very popular from what I.
I mean,
what
that's
I
what
tend
that
to
whole
hear.
billboard is not a real like, oh, in your
Oh, yeah.
It's a stab. It's like,
Somebody's-
look
yeah.
at these dumb motherfuckers. You're now
I don't-
entering a defunded zone.
I mean,
ha ha. Joke's on you.
That's
like,
that's why Austin gets so much
makes you
shit.
look
I feel
bad.
like. Have you ever noticed like every time I'll go to other towns, I'll be like, "Oh, from Austin, huh?" Like, there's for some reason like this kind of hate on Austin and people from there. Have you ever noticed that at all?
yes.
Yeah,
Of
okay,
course. We're the
cool.
blue
Yeah,
part.
but like I feel like it's not even like that much here.
It's not.
You know what I mean? It's
No,
not that
people-
much different from
No.
Midland.
That's a joke.
Yeah,
Saying they're all the
exactly.
libtards are there. Like,
Yeah.
shut up. And
Because when
all
you come
the,
here, like I've met a lot of people
but
from
bro,
Austin or
that's-
from other parts of the country,
I
and they're
think-
all like, I mean,
It should be said.
I
You're
don't-
right. It should be
yeah.
said because look, nobody thinks that the Aggies are dumb fuckers, right? There's Aggie jokes,
That's
but we
true.
don't all think that they're
Yeah.
dumb assholes.
yeah,
But people make Austin libtard jokes, and they believe them all.
yeah. That's
So
what I'm
you're
saying.
right. You're right.
like,
We need to get the
understand
word
that.
out. We need to get the word out.
I
Like,
always tell people
it's a joke, guys. It's not
Yeah.
true.
yeah.
It's like the Aggie joke.
I just can never tell if people are joking about that.
No, they're not.
Yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting. is
No, they're
like,
not.
I'm pretty sure I can tell that wasn't a joke.
No, it's not a joke. They definitely think that if they move to Austin, there's going to be a bunch of hippies and like people riding unicycles
Yeah.
and clown outfits on 6th Street. It's like, well, you will find that.
Yeah,
You
of
will.
course. Yeah,
But I mean,
it's keeping it weird.
but there you'll also find me and Alex.
Yeah, yeah.
And Laura. And everyone
No,
else
I
that
mean,
moved
it's-
here from
it's-
West
it's-
Texas. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a great place, man.
It is. And now Rogan
to
lives here.
Party and have fun, for sure.
Our boy Rogan.
Yeah,
Shout out to Rogan.
We'll see him at the bar sometime.
Gonna give him a plug.
Plug.
He needs a plug.
He needs it.
He needs a plug on
I
our
heard.
show.
Oh yeah, I was gonna tell you how fucking stupid. Apparently, people that work for Spotify were like trying to get Joe Rogan canceled because he's transphobic or whatever, and that's the claim they're making. Like, how fucking stupid can you be to work for the company that just paid $100 million to that guy, and like you work for the company? Like, how are you gonna talk shit about this huge investment they just made?
Yeah.
Like,
Come
people
on.
are nuts. Like, get a new job. How about that?
Yeah.
You don't like a couple of things they might have said that we already know about,
Yeah.
and like now you're gonna talk about it when he's on our platform,
Yeah.
like
and
just getting started. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
yeah.
It's
And
always
he-
the tech sector, man. It's always these like higher level jobs that are harder to get. I feel like where there's more pussies. Like, bro, you have the right to work somewhere else. Like, what the hell? I don't know. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
To
No, that
just
is funny
Shit on
that
your own
the-
company.
Yeah. Spotify.
Like, don't you want to
Spotify
be
employees.
be successful? You know, keep the company you work for successful in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying
Not as much as they.
I'm not saying you have to be a bootlicker for anybody you work for,
Sure.
but like,
Yeah.
It's just funny to me that saying that a man
He
that
does?
transitions into a woman shouldn't maybe box women.
Oh, is that where he got his flack from?
It's from sports, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I tend to agree with most of what those guys say on there, and probably because I'm a bro too. But like, I thought somebody had brought up the idea of doing the chromosome thing. Like, to compete, it shouldn't be male female. It should be like your chromosome structure, XX or XY. That makes a lot of sense to me.
XY is male, right?
Yeah. So if you have that DNA structure, you should compete with the males, with the XYs. Because there's no denying how your body is formed when you have XY DNA. It doesn't matter what your genitalia. You have XY DNA. You compete with the XYs. You have XX
For
DNA.
sure.
You compete with XXs.
Well, how
And
could
I
you
was
say
like-
something so controversial?
Yeah, so controversial. I was like, I haven't heard all his podcasts, but if that's what he's getting it for, then I'm like, wow, because I thought that's exactly how it should be. Because it's like, bro, you're stomping on so many other people when you let this person not get stepped on, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you got to worry about everybody. And normally the idea about not letting a XY into the XX arena, anyway,
Yeah.
it's because it's not fair to all the other XXs,
Well-
right? We have an XX arena for a fucking reason.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, we made a whole other arena.
There's separate leagues for a good
We
reason.
made a whole other
Yeah.
arena because it's not fair. It's called sexual dimorphism. Right? Brought it up the other day, remember? At dinner?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I brought it up, that word, dimorphism. I'm probably saying it wrong. But it's not.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I definitely think that's a real
It's
thing.
like, you can't ignore. It is real.
But I think
Men are
the
stronger
sports
than
thing
women
seems
physically.
the sports thing seems clear cut.
Yeah,
like-
he's probably saying other shit.
No,
I
he
realize
said,
that they do have.
He said Caitlyn Jenner probably transitioned because he was stuck in a house with a bunch of crazy bitches.
Oh, I do remember
so he
that.
became a crazy bitch.
Yeah, that's just funny. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Well, he was talking about how he wrote that bit.
Yeah, I heard that.
But he was explaining it out loud and saying, if I say it this way, it's not funny.
Yeah.
So he's like saying he had to work on the
Yeah.
delivery, like literally explaining,
Yeah.
like,
And they're like, that's
this isn't
fucked up.
what I mean. Like, I was just trying to make a way to make that idea funny.
Yeah. It's not what I think. You know what I mean? It's just
And,
the
like,
idea is
I mean-
funny, and I have to say it without shitting on everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
You're
like,
just making fun of
God,
that person too.
Give me a break. Oh, yeah.
Not making fun of everybody. Like, and
It's bad, dude. It's like, you
funny.
can't make fun of this person.
nope, off limits now.
Yeah, there
For
used
good.
to not be off limits. Like, you would make fun of someone because
Yeah,
they're
people are much more
old.
soft. I know some. I'm
Like,
soft.
hey,
about,
it's fucked up to make fun of
some
somebody because
things.
they're old. But comedians do it all day.
Yeah, and we love them for it.
And that's fucking funny.
Yeah.
And you should be able to. It's like a form of coping.
Oh yeah, we need it, man.
I mean, come
You
on.
need to let loose. It's hard to be on all the time. You know what I mean? And just being very
can't-
careful with everything.
Can't put limits on making fun of people as adults. As adults,
Yeah, for sure.
everyone
There's
should
a-
be able
there's
to
a
make
point.
fun of everyone.
Come
like-
after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Yeah.
You
I'm
remember-
40.
Remember that? I'm 40. Don't talk about a kid.
But for real, like, everyone should be able to talk shit
Yeah.
and make fun of everyone except for kids.
I totally agree. And like
Like, maybe even
people are soft
12-year-olds,
because of
maybe
it.
even 13-year-olds can already get made fun of. I don't know.
oh yeah.
But maybe 15, maybe 16, maybe 18. I don't know. But yeah, dude, you've got to be able to make fun of people.
Yeah.
That's not. It's not okay. It's not okay. In general, it's not. Come on.
Yeah. Take a joke. Take some shit.
Bullying is different than making fun of,
Yeah. Yes.
and everyone
sure.
knows the line. Everyone understands
Yeah.
the line. You don't have to educate the whole world on where the line is. Like
Yeah.
Joe Rogan didn't cross the line. He's
Yeah,
not
but
bullying her. Like,
sure.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. I guess there is the line with every guy. You know, that's at least the nice thing. Like if two guys are giving each other shit, right? There's always the physical threat of violence, like underneath all of that.
Yeah.
Like so, you know, like
Sure.
it's like oil and water, man. It's bubbling, trying to get up.
Yep,
Like you
yep,
know, so
yep.
that's why we always know like when something's gonna be too far.
Yeah.
Like.
Okay.
So that's why I think, yeah, giving shit is okay because you can retaliate if you really wanted to.
And that's what changed with the internet, right?
And then
people
maybe
used
that
to talk
person will
about that.
shut up, yeah.
People used to talk about that a lot, about how people say what they
Yeah.
would never say.
Oh, it's just like talking on the phone with people.
Yeah, same with
They
phone.
act all
It
big
happened
and
with
bad,
it,
and it's
yeah.
like, yeah, because I'm not standing in person in front of
Exactly.
you.
That
You would
was
not be acting
That's
like
the
this.
other thing I've been pointing out lately.
I hate that.
Is that people keep looking at the internet and being like, what, and social media, and being like, now because of social media and the internet, this and this happens. And you're like,
Yeah.
actually, that's been happening
Yeah.
for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Like screen addiction.
Have you seen that 80s movie?
Screen time addiction. Like,
Yeah.
we called those couch potatoes for decades.
Yeah.
That is not a new problem. I mean, it's more of a
Right.
problem. But I'm just saying it's not a new problem because of the internet. And like misinformation isn't a new problem because of the internet.
Yeah.
We just have a better time finding out that it's bullshit.
Yeah.
They're used to
Yeah,
bullshit.
you used to just ask a guy, and they'd tell you, and you'd be like, I guess maybe that's the
Bullshit
answer.
used to fly
Yeah, very
all
easily.
around
Yeah.
just like it does
Yeah,
now.
for
Like
sure.
fake news is not new.
You're
It's not a
definitely
new
right.
thing. Like stop acting like the internet made that.
Yellow journalism.
Yes.
I mean, a war started. I mean, I'm sure
It's not
there's
new.
been- yeah,
Just
it's
because
not
the internet
new.
didn't perfect
new.
data transfer, like
Yeah.
it just looks exactly the same only on the internet. A bunch of bullshit and a little bit of truth. Just like
Yeah.
everyone used to say out loud, a bunch of bullshit and a little
Yeah.
bit of truth.
Right,
Like
yeah.
go to the preacher and you hear a bunch of bullshit all morning.
Right.
It's fake news. I mean,
Yeah, for sure. It isn't.
it's just
It's
not new.
nothing new.
It's not new. Just
'Cause I
because
think-
you can see
Well,
it in a
before that-
different form, right? And social media and then like advertising, like to you particularly. I'm like, God damn, I used to watch Nicktoons and they would
Yeah.
fucking advertise Skechers to
Yeah.
me. The Skechers kid shoes to me on Nicktoons. Like, oh, you think they knew
The child
who was
consumer's
watching
been around.
Nicktoons? Like
Yeah.
selling data to advertising companies? That's not a new fucking thing.
No.
Why is like people are bringing that up like it's this huge crazy conspiracy? I'm like,
yeah.
people like there was 150 cable channels and we knew who watched each one of them. Like who do you advertise on MTV?
Yeah. I
Who do you
wonder.
advertise
Yeah.
to on what is it? BET?
Yeah, people.
Who do you advertise
Yeah.
to on BET?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
man.
give me a fucking break. It's like
yeah, eyeballs. People have been trying to catch eyeballs for forever.
and the particular
Yeah.
eyeballs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we know you watched that Wesley Snipes movie. How? Because I'm an 18-year-old
Yeah.
dude? Like, yeah.
right.
Okay.
I definitely did.
I did. You're right. Now you know what I think. Like, it's not new. It's just fucking not, none of it's new.
Yeah, I like that.
So
Makes
that's
me
why I
think.
think the internet has more promise than anything.
No, I'm
'Cause
still hopeful.
It's waking us up. To
Yes,
That's
yeah.
great. Now we have a word
Yeah.
for fake news. Now you should know to not listen to your bullshit neighbor.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
great. That's a great thing. Recognizing fake news as
Yeah.
a society, isn't that great?
and the internet just shows that people really aren't that different. Like
Yeah.
around the world, there's like it's all our leaders that put us all against each other. But I don't know. Like it really is true. It's kind of it's not like an American Western culture takeover of all the other countries. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I don't think it's going to be like ruining other cultures that the internet's a little newer to and stuff like that. Like, I think it'll be overall like positive.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
with like keeping people a little more united. Honestly,
That's why, bro, those dudes, I think it was on Rogan. I can't remember who it was. They were talking about the important thing for Russia and China is to make our idea look bad. The democracy idea.
yeah,
So when they shit on America, and when everyone's shitting on America saying, y'all look like a bunch of goons, democracy doesn't work, y'all are dumbasses, like that's the idea, is for that idea
Yeah.
to gain traction. That maybe democracy doesn't work. Maybe we need to defund the police. Maybe we need to
Right.
fucking try something else, like communism, maybe. You
Yeah,
know what I
exactly.
mean? Like, no.
right.
Fuck that idea. Put
Right.
that idea down, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Shut up. The internet and fake news, like, so so go communist. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? What is
yeah,
the
for
thinking?
sure.
What is the thinking here?
Good point. I think, yeah, like you said, I think all that's been going on
Yeah.
now, but like, more vulnerable people get caught up a little easier. Like, because it's so sophisticated. Like
Sure.
how,
Bro, televangelists used to get all the dumbasses, and they would be sending them so much money.
they still do. Dude,
Yeah, but I'm saying that they were
have you
always
seen the
God.
Jim Baker show? That's a good
There's
one.
a sucker born every minute,
Yeah,
and they're
for
born
sure.
to suck on your stories, man. Like, they're just born to
I
do
like
it.
that. Never
It's
heard
like the
that
cult
one.
members.
Born suckers. Yeah, bro.
God,
For sure.
it's great. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
It's all good stuff.
Life
Been
is
doing
good.
a little bit of art. I think it's
Oh,
getting me
heck
into a
yeah.
good headspace.
Are you still doing watercolor? Or are you
A
just doing
little bit.
pencil or whatever?
So this thing I'm doing lately is called the Sumonagashi effect or something.
that sounds cool.
Saw a video on it, and it's like Sumonagashi. That's racist. That's racist.
You painted a picture.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like it. Okay, so you get a water pan. Okay, you get a big enough pan that's
Okay.
like bigger than your piece of paper. Okay, put your paper aside, and you let the water get still. And you get 2 brushes, and one you dip in like ink, black ink, and another one you dip in soap water, like a little bit of dish soap
Okay.
and side water. So you've got soap and ink, and you dip the ink in the water, like barely touch it to the surface, and it like kind of, I think it's waterproof ink or certain kind of ink. I've only done it a few times now,
Oh, wow.
but it turns like makes a little circle, of
Right.
black ink, and then you take the other brush and you touch it to the middle, and it kind of makes it into a ring because it pushes the center of the water out. So if you can imagine that black dot turning into a black ring and pushing out a little bit farther, because you've put the soap in the middle of the ring and it
Yeah.
kind of expanded the open clear water out. And then you put another black dot in the middle, right? And then you put another soap dot in the middle of that,
Crazy.
and you start creating concentric circles, right? And
okay.
on the surface of your water, you have these concentric circles, and then you start dipping one at a time, just over and over and over again, and the circles start like pushing further and further out, and they get closer and closer together, and they get bigger, and they also start kind of distorting, so they're not perfect circles. They're very like wavy with the water, and they look very like cool, like
Yeah.
almost like the center of a tree, it's like organic. And then you have that cool pattern there, and you just take your paper and you
Lift it.
dip on it, and it kind of prints onto your paper.
That's tight.
And it's really like just therapeutic to watch it happen.
Oh, yeah. That's cool, too, that you don't have to, like, I guess, worry too much about how you want it to look.
No,
and,
it's all
you know what I
organic
mean?
and cool and
Yeah.
funky, and you can kind of manipulate it. You see how it's working, like, oh, if I put my
Yeah.
ink in a little bit longer, it makes my dot bigger, and therefore it makes my like stripe bolder. And then I can do
Gotcha.
bold one, skinny one, bold one, skinny one, bold one, skinny one if you want. I mean, or you can
Right.
like you can put the soap dot not directly in the circle of the right in the center of the circle and start making like oblong. You can just affect it in all different ways, but it's all organic, right?
Yeah.
It's all, if that's probably a dumb word to be using, organic, but it's all naturally happens.
Right.
You're not like guiding your hand.
Yeah.
It's
That's
fun.
tight.
It's fun. I want to
Could
teach.
you?
I want to teach people to do it because of how fun it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's that good a time.
it takes no talent. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did several, and then after I had my setup, I got Megan to sit down, dude, and she made one way cooler than I had made. But she had
Oh,
like
nice.
just did it herself, and I was like almost being like, no, don't do it. You know what I mean? But she just kept doing it however she wanted, and
Right.
it turned out all dope. Like, it turned out way cooler than the ones I had done. But it's just something that
How
everyone would do a little different, and it's really fun. Like, I was so happy I got her to do it because she was like, "Oh, that was cool. That was fun."
How did you hear about that? How that technique?
I think I told you about this last time. I didn't have a news feed anymore,
Oh yeah, you
and I
mentioned
downloaded
Skillshare briefly.
Skillshare.
Yeah.
It was on
Okay,
Skillshare.
cool.
I was going through
Oh,
there and
yeah.
I watched the class on how to do it, and then I mean, shit. Like, I should make
Yeah.
a YouTube video of that because I mean that's
Yeah.
really a really fun one to do. Doesn't need to be on
Yeah.
Skillshare. Just put it on YouTube. It's like so simple.
Yeah.
Like, Skillshare,
absolutely.
you can learn how to code. This is like a simple
Right.
fucking art project
Right.
for kids.
Arts and
You
crafts,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like,
Dude.
but really helpful. I think as like a therapy. Like, if I was gonna do like a juicing, like, I mean,
a juice and
a wine and canvas. Have you heard of that business model? Wine and
No.
canvas. It's just where they
Wine-
like get all the
wine and
people
canvas.
together and you drink wine and do a paint by numbers
oh
thing.
yeah,
I was thinking it'd be
like
cool.
a drinking paint.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to do like fun things like that.
Oh, I was literally thinking.
Instead
I was
of-
like, they should have arts and crafts classes for adults.
They do.
And
That's
they
what wine and
basically
canvas
do,
is. Yeah.
I was like, oh, they kind of already do.
So I
have
think
that.
I would like start one here in Austin that's like a wine and canvas thing, but it might be a little bit more like creative, right? Where it's
Gotcha.
like, we'll do sumanagashi one day, or something,
Nice.
things more along the lines like that are,
Dude, that's like
well, out there.
decorating cookies, man.
There you go.
That's like another one of those things. It's like
There you
so
go.
simple but so satisfying. Like, I always
Yeah.
love doing that every year. It's just a little.
And if
little
you
crafty
set it
thing.
all up, the thing is,
Yeah,
you
it's-
get it all
it's the
set up to where
setup, it's the
someone can just
cleanup.
come participate.
Right.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
So you're right, dude. Now we're onto something because, like, wine and canvas, you can do that with any other crafts.
Oh,
Craft
yeah.
and craft and
Yeah.
craft, dude. We'll do craft beer
Craft.
and craft
Right.
arts and craft beer. Arts and craft beer.
Yeah, man. There's got to be plenty of people.
We'll call
that
it
you think
craft.
Could be down. Craft House.
Craft house.
Isn't there a place called Craft House?
Probably.
I think it's
That's good, dude.
I think that's the name
that'd be
of
fun.
a place that does plays.
And that'd be fun.
Yeah. You should
Yeah.
check out. Yeah, well, maybe one day we'll be able to gather again.
Yeah.
That was dope though that we went to that spot on Friday. So that was cool that they're open. Because I didn't think any
Oh,
I didn't think any
Laura.
like bars were really open.
Yeah, dude, that was nice. It was fun.
It was a cool place.
Thanks for coming out, man.
Oh
I
yeah,
had a great time.
big time.
That was nice.
Yeah,
Big time.
big time, dude. Big time. That's thanks to Texas to go. But
Yeah.
that's in my vocabulary. I
That's
stopped
Randall.
using it years ago.
That's a Randall original.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that was a Jordan or a Randall.
I gotta piss.
All right, go for it.